Hello everyone, I hope all of you are well, staying safe and healthy. This week we will cover e-government maturity models. Before starting, I want you to write down 3 e-government services that you are currently using. It can be e-government services of your home country, or it can be e-government practices of the country where you are in, like Cyprus. Okay, please write them down and think about the experience that you get from the services. If you're gonna rate the services on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you going to evaluate their maturity? Write them down and we can discuss your evaluation, and also you can recheck your evaluation after we complete this chapter. Why is the term service maturity models is important? Following the chronological course of e-government service evolution, many practitioners and scientists divided this process into specific development stages, and mainly this is used to evaluate one system and differentiate one system from one to another. Then you can have benchmark and you can improve your current system. And these development stages represent a categorization which determines particular e-government portal maturity levels. So by checking the category or the services provided, you can frame or you can define the stage of development within that e-government practices. Therefore, maturity models are used, for example, to compare the development status of different e-government portals, to support public service development, and to serve as a guide for evaluating and improving e-government portal quality, as I already mentioned. You will see a table in upcoming slides which present an overview of e-government maturity models from the previous literature. Okay guys, as you can understand from the table, there are many available service maturity models. And also as the years progress, as new technologies arise, we expect to have much more e-government service maturity models. It can be from 2 stages to 6 stages. So we see that within stage 1, mainly it's about whether the information is published. Stage 2 includes the interaction. Stage 3 mainly includes transaction, but you can see in some models transaction is categorized under stage 2. Then when there is integration between the parties, it's called stage 4. And there can be stage 5 like clustering of common services, and stage 6 like full integration and enterprise transaction according to Deloitte. And also there is important framework by United Nations, where in stage 1 you can observe the emerging information services. Within the stage 2 there is enhanced information services, transactional services, followed by connected services. Okay, depending to the situation and development, you can use one of the models, or you can also create a new model based on these available models. And as I said before, the technology is expected to develop, so we should have more advanced and more reviewed stage maturity models. Okay. And this is the second part of the table. And you can realize that within the fifth and sixth stages, it is more about political participation, digital democracy, electronic democracy. So it is more about electronic participation. So first, government should have the infrastructure to provide basic services like publishing information on the websites. Then users should be able to interact, complete their transaction. Then it should enable them collaboration, which is followed by participation and joint decision making. Okay. Please consider these models and select three of them and write the reasons why you select those three models, and we can discuss it on the online session. Okay, if we take into account all maturity models presented in table above in previous slides, it can be mentioned that e-government maturity models show up to 6 development stages with a minimum of 2. Furthermore, although the denominations of the individual stages differ from one to another, the conceptual approaches ranging from a basic to an advanced level are comparable. So we can realize that the stages includes the development within the previous stage of e-government maturity. And nevertheless, the maturity models clearly differ from each other, which allows to classify them into 5 groups according to their overall development or highest development stage. And the first is transaction, then integration, third is transformation, fourth participation, and open collaboration is the final stage. So the most basic maturity models in comparison to the level of the highest development stage are the transaction related models. Howard and Tosaki follow a three-stage approach that starts with publishing information. The next stage is user-government interaction. The model closes with the transaction stage, which allows to complete public administration procedures online. Reddick broke this down to 2 stages, such as cataloging and transactions. In the first stage, the public sector organization, in other words, the decision makers, presents relevant information online, and within the second stage, given public administrative procedures or transactions can be completed online via the internet. And if you consider the times of the pandemic now, this is really important, whether we can complete transactions online while we are staying safe and staying at home. The second group of maturity models may be formed through interaction-related models. Although the maturity models differ concerning the number of stages from 3 to 6, the underlying principle is the same. They start with providing basic information services and close with the integration stage. Here, integration refers to a horizontal and vertical integration of user and provider processes. This means that systems of different administrative functionalities and jurisdictions are fully integrated and available through a customized one-stop e-government portal that allows the user to administer fully automated governmental procedures. The maturity models of the transformation group rather focus on the transformation perspective of e-government, instead focusing on the technology readiness of the government system. They refer to the level of achieved e-democracy or citizen-centric transformation. The participation-oriented maturity models see e-government as a system that finally leads to e-democracy or political participation by citizens via the internet. This empowering of the civil society takes place, for example, via polling, public forums, online petitions, and online voting. And you can consider the mobile government in this stage. For example, the model can include e-democracy, e-participation, but we should also blend in now the mobile government and opportunities provided by mobile government practices, where the online voting, online petitions, or public forums can be more participated by the users, or more engaging platforms can be created by using mobile government as a main medium. Furthermore, mobile government can also provide opportunity to spread the e-government practices or the governmental practices where there isn't enough infrastructure, physical infrastructure, so there aren't any available public administration units. The fifth group, open collaboration, takes the concept of e-government one step further by explicitly integrating open government related aspects. Already in the third maturity stage, open participation is used for policy decision, and in stage 4 and 5, public open data is integrated and made accessible respectively. Since the majority of the maturity models was built without being based on other models, they often use different expressions for similar stages. However, as the overall direction of the model is comparable, starting with simple information provision that finally leads to digital administration or electronic democracy, the proposed development was generally replicated in various independent surveys. For a common understanding of e-government maturity levels in the upcoming slides, the main characteristics of the above-mentioned maturity models are summarized in an e-government development stage model. Taking into account the findings of previous e-government maturity level studies, 5 key e-government development stages can be framed, which is called presentation or information. Second is communication. Third is transaction. Fourth is participation. And the last stage is open integration. With each stage, the e-government application reaches a higher degree of interaction, which in turn is also connected to increasing complexity. And this model summarizes the relationship which is explained in previous slides. First stage of e-government systems are limited to present static information such as opening hours and contact information online to the users. In the communication stage, e-government systems are amplified by providing the possibility for communication and digital transmission of information. Here, users can, for instance, communicate with the respective public sector organization via electronic mail. Please take note of e-government sites if you can observe that they are still in stage 1 or stage 2. And we will discuss about them via our online session. In the transaction stage, users can initiate and or process administrative procedures and services online. For this purpose, the e-government system is integrated into the back office system, which allows automated processing of the initiated administrative procedure. Thus, a change of address in the civil register is automatically updated in related databases. Do you have any experience relating to this transaction stage? If so, please provide example and we can discuss them at online session. The participation stage permits participatory interaction between the e-government provider and its user. So there is more participation between the demand side and the supply side, which is good because if you can satisfy the citizens' wants and needs as a decision maker, as an administrative unit, it is more likely that there will be higher citizen satisfaction and it will affect the government performance, or it will affect the number of possible votes or supports that the current political party will have in the next election. So instead of only initiating a standardized e-government transaction, users can actively play a shaping role in the process through feedback, opinion surveys, or electronic voting. An example of this state is an online poll for naming a street. And if you check the picture here, you can see that the municipality from Izmir is asking their citizens about the new ferry. So instead of just naming a new ferry which will be added to their fleet, so they are engaging electronic participation. And don't forget, it is a free way of increasing citizen engagement, and it is really good for decision makers to use strategies like that. Please check e-government sites of the municipalities of your hometown or the capital cities and take notes whether they are using electronic participation or if there are any examples like that. If not, make a list of recommendations for them related to how they can increase electronic participation practices. And we will check your list and discuss about them at our online session. So in the open integration stage, the user is directly integrated into public processes and value creation. Don't forget, creating value for the public, for the society is really important for decision making, for public management, and e-government is an effective tool for that. The user also manages interconnected administrative procedures that support an automated execution of multiple transactions. Thus, the user is actively engaged with public administration, openly sharing data and public input through various devices and channels while cooperating and collaborating with the respective public entities. So I would like to ask you a question related to this. Concerning the democratical situation, in which countries do you think this stage is possible? Or if I reframe my question, do you think this stage is possible in autocratic countries? If there is no transparency, if there is only one-way communication from decision maker to the citizens, open integration, collaboration of the user, collaboration with the citizen is almost impossible. So in order to spread of e-government practices, in order to have advancement within the maturity models, governments must support democracy, freedom of speech, and involve citizens without any judgments of their actions. Although the stages differ greatly concerning the related degree of interaction and the level of complexity that is associated with the respective stage, favoring one of them doesn't make sense since all play a vital role in e-government. So if you don't have stage 1, you can't progress to stage 2. If you don't have stage 2, if you don't have enough infrastructure for stage 2, you can't progress to stage 3. According to the e-government development stages and the associated degrees of interaction and complexity, various e-government interaction patterns are commissible. Within these interaction patterns, several public e-government stakeholders form a part of the government user structure. Against this background and the target to provide e-government services in a user-oriented way, it is important to identify the relevant actors and interaction patterns. Actors should be identified. The communication strategy towards actors should be clear. The obstacles or impediments which will prevent the spread of e-government practices or the use of e-government practices should be specified, and action should be taken to decrease the resistance or remove the obstacles against the e-government practices. The more decision makers work on the removal of barriers by making practices more user-friendly, usable, easy to use, the diffusion and spread of e-government practices will be higher. And the best way to do that is to get feedback and upgrade the system, the infrastructure related to feedback, and also governments can use usability testers who can test and comment about the experience which will be faced by the citizens as a user of the services. Okay, you have extra reading. Please read the following pages. and we discuss about them during our online session. Okay guys, this module summarizes the actors and interactions related to e-government practices. So you can see on the top, there is user. Depending on the situation, fees might be paid. In the center, we have e-government information and service provider. There will be interface for associated public service provision and provider generated content and services. But in order to have that provided, we should have content providers where fees is paid and license is get. There is connection within other public sector organization where content and services are transferred both way. On the right hand side, you can see internet service provider and infrastructure provider. And as a user, as you already know, you should pay fee in order to get internet access. Internet service providers, ISPs, also use of the e-government practices. And depending to the situation, fees might be paid from e-government position. Infrastructure provider provides technological infrastructure, and as I said, it is outsourced, fees will be paid. And within it, they need software developing and technology provider. If the e-government practices is designed, maintained via in-house team, it has advantages by means of security, because you don't share your data with an outsider company. Related to cost, because in-house is cheaper than outsourcing. But also, if you outsource service from a third party, they might provide you the state out of the services, because they also produce softwares or system for the competitive market. So there are pros and cons related to whether use in-source or whether to benefit from outsourcing from another company. And we will discuss about them via online session. Please take note whether you prefer provision of e-government services via in-house team or via external company. So guys, last discussion points. What is the role of e-government practices within pandemic? So you already know we are staying at our home since 50 days. Do you think e-government practices helped in any way for the management of the pandemic? And the second question is, does the government benefit from e-government practices within pandemic? Do they fully utilize all available channels to manage, control the current situation or not? Please take your notes related to this question, and we will also discuss them at our online session.